We're not riding down the I-5 today, but a logistics movement gave me the opportunity to do a short ride in the valley and burgeoning suburbs sandwiched between the San Gabriel and Santa Susana Mountains north of Los Angeles. In the essence of time, and getting a few sprints in, I chose a route that was primarily on a paved river path network centered around the Santa Clarita River and the San Francisco Canyon Wash. I wanted to avoid the main push of vehicles headed south for rush hour and also any potential unplanned detours. I still had 4 hours of driving and a plane to catch to get home, so there wasn't much room for delay. The hotel I was in was just off the interstate, but kind of in a no man's land as far as bike-friendly road access goes. Pretty typical for this kind of arrangement, multi-lane, busy roads to facilitate funneling to the fast freeway. Clicking through the various map overlays of Ride with GPS, the OSM cycle overlay makes the paths stick out easily. There's some cool looking gravel roads to explore around the mountains to the south. I especially want to check out the old decommissioned Nike missile base that is now a Los Angeles County wildfire air attack base. But again, there are a lot of unknowns to planning a gravel route. So what's the best way to start a ride with busy roads? Well, I tend to think downhill. Clearing out this 6-lane busy road at 7 in the morning and a 500 lumen headlight, I can easily go the speed limit so I don't feel like I'm going to get run over. You do have to watch out for those box dots when changing lanes. Their rounded shape for some reason makes them more dangerous hitting them than the squared off lane reflectors. Starting off the worst road of the day, we're picking our way over to the river path access point. Luckily, there's a nice boulevard road with a wide, buffered, although not protected, bike lane. It wasn't too full of garbage. Turning off that road to the access point, we see that Ride with GPS is telling us to go down and make a U-turn. This is a pretty good sign that it's a divided road with no way for me to turn left at the path entrance. In this case, we just go back and draw a line to that point. My method will be to go across the intersection and then sidewalk surf. Now we're on the surprisingly smooth-looking, well-maintained bike path with a lovely sunrise and mountains in the distance. At this point, we're just going to follow the river path to where the Santa Clarita River meets up with San Francisco Canyon, and then the path that follows that wash. I also really enjoyed riding in the San Francisco Canyon. The path had some lovely meandering curves, and the mountains off in the distance were showing great morning colors, and it was an easy 1.5 to 3% grade, so getting some nice resistance against the pedals. As we're going uphill, and I see the houses on the left, it's crazy to think that the second largest loss of life in California happened 92 years previously on the same day I happened to be riding. The San Francisco Dam failed 2 minutes before midnight on March 12, 1928. Just a couple of miles upstream from me, a 140-foot wall of water, moving 30 miles an hour, scoured the canyon walls. At the point where I'm riding, the water was merely 40 to 50 feet deep and had slowed to only 18 miles an hour, wiping many buildings and people downstream and even out to sea 50 miles away. Since it's light uphill and path traffic is low, I thought it also a good place to get some sprints in. Today I had the great opportunity to put the Pinarello F12 through its paces. Typical of my physique and Italian geometry, I had to ride down a size and jack the seat post up to get the best balance and reach. Most Italian carbon bikes feel like you're riding a piece of driftwood, stiff and strong, but no life and bouncing off every bump in the road. The F12 was stiff, but much more compliant, even with the deep dish sips. Now I'm going to make my end run around the top of the path and down the other side of the canyon. Approaching the turn, I see it's a busy road, and the path isn't really a path, but more a sidewalk. Choosing the sidewalk for a brief moment ended up not being a bad choice, lest I had gotten clipped by a car riding over the line. This was honestly probably the worst part of the ride, as it was showing as a part of the path on maps and riding with GPS, the different map overlays, but it definitely wasn't a path at all. It kind of even seemed like an afterthought in terms of connecting the path together. Now that I'm going down the easy, chill grade, I've been really impressed by the path network here in Santa Clarita. You know, a lot of times we avoid paths because they are in terrible condition or just too many people to enjoy your ride speedily. But when a path network is broad enough for people to space out and not built with sheer development in mind, it can be used for both transportation and recreation easily. I only encountered a couple of sections that were in bad shape, but it looked like they were actively being fixed. Sometimes the maps of bike lanes, routes, and paths on Google is a fail. In this case, it does not appear that the path continues across the Santa Clara River at this point, unlike the sidewalk across the Mosquito Canyon. In this case, I use the different overlays on Ride with GPS and select the OpenStreetMap cycle overlay. This overlay shows the path going across, and then when we zoom in, back onto satellite mode, we see that it is indeed a full path back across the river and not a sidewalk substitute. Even my Garmin had a hard time here. I love it when I see families utilizing bikes as transport. Riding to school is certainly one of the most awesome things you can do. At this point, we're headed back, reversing our outbound course down the path and then to the boulevard with the buffered bike lane, back to the intersection with the 6-lane road. Since we know we came down a big hill, we know we don't want to return back up a busy 6-lane road headed towards the interstate in the peak of rush hour. It's a bit of a chance, but taking a smaller surface road south to get across I-5 is my decision here. The start looks busy, but it funnels down to 2 lanes, and at least initially I get the benefit of riding through a school zone with a motorcycle cop running a speed trap. The road south has what looks to be a bit of a shoulder that starts wide and narrows down, and finally runs out. Luckily, most people were considerate, and I had no punishment passes. Turning right to cross under I-5, it's a merge to turn lane north, but nobody's headed north to get to work, away from the city, and so I get the benefit of that until traffic continues on south. At this point, all I have to do is turn right to head back north and uphill to my hotel. All in all, a quick 20-mile ride in an hour and 10 minutes that wasn't too stressful. Now time to shower, eat, and get back on the road so I can make my drop and catch my flight home.